Hello, and welcome to the 2025 Teacher of the Year Studio Interviews. Throughout the history of the world, great teachers have inspired, persuaded, and motivated students. The St. Lucie Public Schools Teacher of the Year has been around for 45 years and is meant to celebrate and honor inspiring teachers and recognize the importance of teaching. All of us have sat in the classroom of many great teachers. All of us can recall a certain teacher, a very special someone who inspired us to learn. Regardless of their fields of study, they shared wisdom, advocated for students, and their actions transformed lives. Every day, along with 100 million parents, we entrust our children with these teachers. They instruct, guide, coach, and inspire our kids to fulfill their greatest potential. So this program presents some extraordinary men and women whose timeless wisdom echoes the integrity, strength, character, and passion of educators across our district and our great nation. This program is a tribute to and for teachers and celebrates the special and often heroic role they play in the lives of students. Finally, this program is our thank you, our love letter to those who educate, encourage, empower, and inspire the students of the world. Our robust program is designed to bring national attention to the importance of excellence in teaching and celebrate the talents and commitments of these extraordinary teachers. Let's meet them now.
Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello, and we are proud to welcome to our show at this time the wonderful Teacher of the Year from Mariposa Elementary School, Miss Rhiannon Myers. Hello and welcome.
Hi.
And joining us also is Brooke Wigington, the proud principal there. Miss Wigington, welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
We are excited to have this opportunity. It's such a great joy when we do this show because it gives us a chance just to introduce some of the dynamic teachers that we have to our viewing audience, and it lets them know that we have the brightest and the best here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Would you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yes, well, I've been teaching for 20 years, all in St. Lucie County. I've been a first grade teacher for 10 years at White City Elementary, and then I moved to third grade, and I've taught at Mariposa for the last 9 years.
Awesome. Miss Wigington?
Well, I've been in the county since 2005. It's a long time, almost 20 years. The last 3 years, I'm the proud principal at Mariposa Elementary. Previously, I was the principal at Port St. Lucie High School and Okemah-Gate.
So how exciting was it when you found out that you had been chosen Teacher of the Year?
It was really exciting. I was shocked because I work with so many amazing, teachers, and I just hope I will represent them well.
Have you always wanted to be a teacher?
No, I planned on being a lawyer, and then life happened, and through circumstances, I realized that I really wanted to make a difference. And that's when the passion for teaching came.
So when you look back over your change and that passion coming, do you think that there was a teacher that influences how you work each day?
Somewhat, but I really think for me, there was a moment where I had a failure. And it was through that failure and feeling like I was by myself struggling. And I had this passion afterwards where I have a GED. And so that passion made me want to go and help other students never feel like they were by themselves.
What inspires you then each and every day?
Honestly, I'm so lucky. I feel a passion to be with the students, seeing them, the aha moment where you're working and they're like, I can't do it and I can't do it. And you're like, yes, you can, I believe in you. And all of a sudden their face lights up and they're like, I got it, Mrs. Myers. And it makes it worthwhile.
So, Ms. Wigington, share with us what it's like in a day in the life of the room of Ms. Rhiannon Myers.
It's hard to describe. Every time I'm in her room, it's different, but it's good. And it's so energized. When she mentioned passion, that's one of the things I would say best describes her, is she's very passionate about making sure that she meets the needs of all of her students in the room. She's extremely creative, and she has the ability to see when a student is struggling before even the student starts to recognize it. She's a really wonderful educator.
So, Mrs. Myers, tell me, what was the defining moment when you realized, yeah, this is it, this is where I'm supposed to be?
I think it was when a student came in and they told me, I hate school. I can't read. I can't write. Can't do math. You know, don't worry. And they didn't want to come to me. And this was first grade. That's scary, those words coming out of a 6-year-old. And I was like, it's okay. I'm happy you're here. And just we formed this relationship. And I was like, what can you do? Let me show you. And then they started to build on the things they could do. And then all of a sudden they started to read. And they would, even when they made mistakes, it wasn't, I can't do it. They're like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to do it. And it was just seeing them develop and feel the worth inside them that I was like, yeah, this is it.
So, what do you consider to be one of the most challenging activities, or let me say the greatest challenge facing education today?
It's so hard to pinpoint one, but really, I think it's because with technology, there's this ease where we can find answers quickly. If I don't know how to do something, I could quickly look on YouTube, find the answer and watch a video. I want a passive game, I can watch, and there's cheats on how to do everything, where no longer do kids really have to struggle to learn to accomplish some things because there's a video showing them step by step how to do it. But in real learning, you have to struggle. So I really think the challenge facing education is teaching kids that you're going to make mistakes. And making mistakes and getting something wrong, failing at something, is not the end. That's how you know you're succeeding. And just to keep trying. And that when things are hard, that's when the real success and aha happens, because that's when it means you're learning. And it sometimes is a long road, but you'll get there.
Mrs. Wigington, 3 adjectives that will describe Mrs. Myers.
Well, she used one already, passionate. She's extremely passionate about being an educator, working with kids. That also leads to her commitment. She's committed to both things within her classroom, but also supporting the school and our families, and it shows in everything she does across our campus. And then lastly is she's creative. She's definitely always thinking out of the box. She'll take a student who's struggling with one individual student struggling with a concept, and she will find a way in the fly, on the moment, to reach the student's needs with whatever she has available in front of her. So she's got a lot of those good skills.
So I've spoken with the superintendent, I've spoken with the school board members, and they have given me the power to grant you one wish for education. What's your wish and why?
I'm not against standardized testing. I really think you need the data to know where you need to assist the kids. I actually love it when I get data. But I also think there's so many different talents that kids have. And if I had a wish, it would be to be able to incorporate more time to let them discover where they're great at. We have amazing artists that can blow anything away. Give them time to find their passion and to feel like they are, to feel the self-worth that comes with it.
So you have some brand new teachers on your campus. Mm-hmm. Teacher of the Year has to be the role model, has to be an example. What advice do you share with them?
I share with them, actually, when you make a mistake, don't try to cover it up for the kids. I remember when I first started teaching and I did something wrong, I felt like I had to be like, oh, you guys, I meant to do that. And I never was comfortable enough telling the kids, you know what, I just made a silly mistake. But yet we expect them to make mistakes all the time. So I think like my piece of advice is be real, form the relationships with them, and tell them, oh, you know what? I don't know what I was thinking. I added that wrong. Let me try it. Even I make mistakes.
So Mrs. Wigington, what makes Mrs. Myers the perfect candidate for this honor?
Part of the responsibility of a Teacher of the Year is to be a mentor to others, and she is definitely somebody at Mariposa that we lean on to help and support new teachers or teachers new to our campus. Additionally, she strives to do her best by all of her students in the classroom, and she's the teacher that wants to have the students who have difficulties learning. She wants to work with them because she wants to help them grow.
So we've asked you to bring along with you a prop
Yeah.
and tell us how and why it's meaningful to you as an educator. Would you share with us now?
Yeah, I brought this book, If She Only Knew Me. And Jackie Lynch, who was a principal at White City Elementary, gave it to the whole staff about 18 years ago. And it was profound. It's about a student who goes through struggles that we cannot comprehend as adults. And I keep this up on a bookshelf in my room, just for me. So when you have those moments where you feel overwhelmed, where I feel like I'm not reaching this kid, or when I feel like, man, are they ever going to get this? I've went over this rule 5 times. I look at this book, and it talks about the day-to-day struggles that children go to, and it helps me remember, build a relationship, find out what makes them click, help them feel like I'm their safe place.
Mrs. Wigington, we live in a world of hashtags. Hashtag you're awesome teacher of the year.
I contemplated this one. I was wondering what would be a good hashtag. I'm going to say hashtag dynamic educator, because she is extremely positive. She strives to do her best, and her creativeness just shines every day in the classroom.
Dynamic educator, we're going to wrap it up with you sharing with us, as the ambassador for education over at Mariposa, what's your message?
To share love, to take the time to build the relationship, to help the kids feel like they are loved and so important, because really they're why I want to be a teacher and why I love going into my job every day.
Mrs. Myers, Mrs. Wigington, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing us and letting us highlight you so that our viewers will understand just how great the teachers in St. Lucie Public are. And congratulations again on your selection.
Thank you.
Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
It's great to be back with you as we welcome to our show Dr. Angela Bennett, who is the Teacher of the Year at Northport K-8. Doc, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We also have with her my good friend, the principal there, Mr. Glenn Ruste. Mr. Ruste, it's great to see you again.
Thank you for having us. It's great to see you.
Let's just jump right in as we share with our viewers the great teachers that we have here in St. Lucie Public Schools. Dr. Bennett, would you briefly introduce yourself so that our viewers will know just a little more about you?
I am Dr. Angela Bennett. I am an education consultant, author with over 20 years of experience in K-12 education. My vision is empowering students to do their best. My education philosophy is every child can learn. Every child has the potential to learn, given the right tools and support.
Mr. Ruste, would you introduce yourself?
I'm Glenn Ruste. This is my 33rd year in St. Lucie County, and this is my 17th year at Northport.
Wow. Again, welcome both of you. So, Dr. Bennett, tell me, what did you make of your selection as the Teacher of the Year at Northport?
You know what? It was unexpected. It was surreal, but it was an honor to be a Teacher of the Year at Northport, to represent my school, and to know that the work that I've put in has been validated, within this selection.
When did you decide? What was the defining moment that you knew, yeah, this is the right place to be, I've chosen the right profession?
Okay, this was my first year as teaching. I was just 18, but I got a 5th grade class to teach. And I have some students that were struggling. Not only that, these students had us to take the common entrance exam. And so in the preparation, I had to, spend my lunchtime. Lunchtime was like 1 hour off of my lunchtime to work with my students. But the most important thing was having one particular student that could not read. But by the end of the year, that student was reading above the grade level. And he was able to pass the common entrance for one of the best high schools in Jamaica. seeing the excitement from the parents, teachers, and my principal, I know there and then that, you know what, I am in the right profession. This is something that I need to do. I enjoy making a difference in other people's life.
So what inspires you every day, Doc?
What inspires me every day is my students, their resilience and determination, even when they are struggling. It inspires me, my co-workers too, because of the work that they have put in every day, coming to school, making sure that they're prepared for our students. And of course, our administrators, they make sure that out of what they have, we can be supported no matter what. So my students, first and foremost, inspire me with their resilience and determination to get their work done.
So, Mr. Rusty, you have an opportunity to watch the magic happen in Dr. Bennett's class every day. Give us a sneak peek in what we might see.
Well, I had a chance to even visit her today, and when you go into her classroom, one of the things that she just mentions was resilience. The students that she has, she's a reading interventionist, and so these are students that are in middle school that are struggling with reading. And one of the biggest challenges that she has is get them to try. And it was just amazing. I was in there, and every single one of the students is not only trying, but succeeding. And it's amazing that relationship she has because the students are struggling, and many times they'll shut down. She just doesn't allow that to happen. She's right there with them. She's encouraging them. She's saying, no, you're not going to quit. You're going to go on. You're going to do it. And just that relationship that she's built with the students helps the students immensely to really strive to that next level. And the data and the students themselves will speak that she is what makes that difference, that they are starting to read or continuing to get better at reading all the time. And it's amazing the growth that they make underneath her instruction.
So, Dr. Bennett, I'm curious, what makes you a great teacher?
What makes me a great teacher is the connection I have with my student to understand them on a personal level. I take the time to find out about their inspiration, their challenges, and their needs. And then I also prioritize a warm classroom environment in which all my students feel comfortable to express themselves, knowing that there is no wrong answer, and we can do it together no matter how rough or challenging the task is.
There are many things going on in the educational system today. What do you consider to be one of the greatest challenges facing education?
I think one of the greatest challenges facing education today is resources. We need to have more resources for our teachers and students to thrive. It doesn't matter. I don't think the resource should be based on budget or zip code, because so many of our students or so many of our schools still need the extra resources to make sure that we have the human resource, in our ESOL department, all additional resource so that all teachers and students can get quality education, can, function well and be successful. And as educators, I just believe that we should advocate so that we can, fill the gap and reach success no matter where our students go.
So, Dr. Bennett, if you could change one thing in education that would have a major impact, what might that be?
It would be equity in education. If I could change one thing, I would like equity. I just believe that we should have equality among all our students to help them reaching that goal, to help them thrive for success, to help them knowing that we have teachers, and administrators, different stakeholders that believe in them for them to be, successful and for them to reach their destination.
Mr. Rusty, tell me, what makes Dr. Bennett the perfect candidate for this recognition?
But Dr. Bennett, again, we talked about her relationship with the students, the success she has with the students, but then also her knowledge that she has. She's an author, accomplished author of several books. But then she also has mentored many of our teachers as a team leader. She would take the teachers that are struggling underneath her wing and really go in there and help them, which would help the rest of the team as well. She's a coach for us. She does Girls on the Run and Heart and Soul for us after school. As well as she's taken a couple of interns on as well. And so she really has a heart for her kids. She has a heart for education and a determination to make sure that all kids are not only capable of success, but all kids do succeed underneath her and her watch.
Dr. Bennett, we ask you to bring along with you a prop that talks about how and why education is meaningful to you. Would you please share with our viewers at this time?
Okay. So I have here cards from my students. So these cards represent the work, the life that I have touched, the work that I have done. These help me to be grounded each day, and it motivates me that I should always do my best no matter what. When I look and read these cards, it brings joy. It's very fulfilling knowing that I have touched all these students, all these arts.
So, Mr. Rusty, we're living in a world of social media, and we're full of hashtags every time we speak. If you had to put a hashtag on your TOY, your Teacher of the Year, what would it be and why?
Inspirational. Dr. Bennett has had a lot of students that she has been, but she's an inspiration for the students, inspiration for our teachers, a great representation of the teachers that we have and the staff we have at Northport, and she's just really a fantastic person, but an incredible teacher as well, and has made a real tremendous difference in our students' lives.
Dr. Bennett, we look for the Teacher of the Year to be the ambassador for education. What would your message be? What would you communicate about the profession to the public?
My message is simple. Education is a foundation for a better life. Together, we must inspire, support, and empower our students to do their best and to thrive for success.
Mr. Rusty, Dr. Bennett, thank you both for joining us and for sharing the great things that's going on with you and your students at Northport, and congratulations on being their Teacher of the Year.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It was good to be here.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello and welcome back to our Teacher of the Year Spotlight Show. We are excited to have with us at this time Allison Wiechek, who's the wonderful Teacher of the Year at Windmill Point Elementary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We have a newcomer joining us. It's the dynamic Miss Valerie Jones, the proud principal over at Windmill Point. Miss Jones, welcome.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
We are excited to have both of you with us. It gives us an opportunity to share with our viewers just some of the dynamic teachers that we have here in St. Lucie Public. It also lets them know that, okay, you represent the best of the best. With that said, I'm going to ask both of you, starting with you, Ms. Wiechek, if you would briefly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Sure. I'm Ms. Wiechek. I am a third grade teacher at Windmill Point Elementary. I am an ELA teacher there. I have taught for 15 years in St. Lucie County, 7 years in 3rd grade, 8 years in 1st grade. I have a Bachelor's of Arts from Ohio State University in Anthropology and a Bachelor's of Arts in Elementary Education from FAU.
Welcome. Ms. Jones, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Valerie Jones, principal, Windmill Point Elementary School, the most wonderful place on earth. Prior to coming to Port St. Lucie, I spent 21 years in Palm Beach County as a teacher, and then I transitioned into administration. I spent 6 years as a principal in Palm Beach County, and then I was selected to serve as a turnaround principal in North Florida. I spent 3 years there, did some amazing work up in Gadsden County, my hometown, and then I transitioned back here to South Florida.
Welcome back, welcome back. So, Ms. Wiecek, share with me what it was like finding out that you had been selected Teacher of the Year for Windmill Point.
Oh my gosh, it was such a great honor. It really was. I was speechless at first and was just really proud to be able to represent my school.
Well, with that honor, tell me, what inspires you to be that teacher?
Really just helping my students learn and become confident and independent young children, and hopefully eventually becoming confident and independent young adults.
What was the defining moment when you realized, yeah, this is it, this is where I'm meant to be?
That's easy. It was during my student teaching time. During that time, you're able to get out of the university classroom, which was also very enjoyable. But just being in the actual classroom and making connections with students and getting feedback from them, and not just, reading it in the books, actually experience it. That was when I knew that this was the profession for me.
So, Ms. Jones, tell me, what is it like visiting Ms. Wiecek's class every day?
Oh man, it's amazing to walk into a teacher's classroom and see the magic come alive. When you walk into Ms. Wiecek's classroom, you see differentiation, you see student academic talk, you see Ms. Wiecek, first she's teaching and she's bringing forth a new concept, but then she releases the learning over to the students. So then you are allowed to see a lot of student academic talk. You see and hear student collaboration. You see integration of technology, and you see some amazing students participating in some amazing activities.
So what I hear you saying is it is the ideal classroom.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Ms. Wiecek, knowing all that Ms. Jones just said about your classroom, what makes you such a great teacher?
For me, I believe it's my ability to reflect on my teaching, being flexible, and of course being patient. I think all teachers need those skills, but definitely being able to reflect on my learning and wanting to continue to learn.
So based on what I'm hearing, I'm gonna ask this question. When did you first fall in love with teaching?
Again, it would be that same student teaching time. It was just such a magical time to be able to see students and hear how much they loved having me in the classroom with them and being able to help them. And actually in the short amount of time that I was there, being able to see them grow and change right before my eyes, it was really lovely. It was a first grade classroom, I'll never forget it.
So Ms. Jones, let me ask you, describe Ms. Wiecek for me using 3 adjectives and elaborate why those 3.
Ms. Wiecek is definitely a leader. She is a mentor, and she's very passionate. And I say that she's a leader because when I arrived at Windmill Point, attention was brought to the school, the culture and climate on that 3rd grade team. And Ms. Wiecek was selected to lead that team. It originally had a lot of holes in the climate that had to do with collegiality among that team, building trust. And I was able to see how Ms. Wiecek took that role as being the team leader and building and filling those cracks with trust and building trust among the team members. You see them collaborate in the professional learning communities that they have together. You see them, there's a lot of academic talk and peer collaboration among the team members, and you also see that there's a lot of trust among that team. So she's taken a team and built a culture and climate that supports student growth and achievement with those third graders.
So, Ms. Wiechek, there's a lot going on in the world today that focuses on education. What do you think is one of the greatest challenges we're facing and why?
For me, it would be helping students think critically and creatively. I think in these times we have a lot of technology surrounding us and relying on technology. And we as teachers love technology. We love it as a tool and as a resource, but I can see us moving into a world where maybe we start to rely on it more, especially in the upper grades with high schoolers. And I think being able to think critically and independently is going to be, and is maybe already starting to be, a huge challenge right now.
So I've been granted some additional power, and I can grant Ms. Wiechek one wish for education. What's that wish?
To continue to learn throughout your life. Don't stop learning just inside the classroom. Continue to learn outside of the classroom, whether it's a passion that you have or more on academics, whatever it may be, just continue to keep growing and learning throughout your life.
Ms. Jones, what makes Ms. Wiechek the perfect candidate for this recognition?
She just said it. She's a lifelong learner, okay? And so what that means, Ms. Wiechek can participate in different educational blogs, educational workshops. She is always preparing herself and honing her craft in the classroom. She is definitely a lifelong learner, and I think that's one characteristic that a candidate should have that's being selected for this position.
So, Ms. Wiechek, 15, 20, 18 years from now, students will have graduated from high school, possibly graduated from college. What are they going to say about Ms. Wiechek at that point?
I hope that they say that they had a lot of fun in my classroom and that they remember some of the things that we did. Also that they were able to get more prepared for life outside of the classroom. That's what I would love for them to say.
We've asked you to bring along with you a prop that kind of talks about your how and why for education. Share that with us at this time.
Okay, so I brought in, this was made for me by one of my practicum teachers, so right before I started my student teaching, and she made me this book of all the students saying goodbye to me and the pictures that they wrote or drew and wrote to me, and this I actually pull out still to this day. This book is 16 years old, and I look back on it every once in a while to remember why I'm doing this, look back at it to remember how much fun I've had throughout the years, and also to just keep it basic, keep it simple. Why I'm doing it is to help students learn and to have fun.
So, Ms. Jones, is there anything else that you want us to know about the amazing Ms. Wiechek?
It's clear that she has a passion for what she does. You could see it in her classroom and throughout the school building.
So, Ms. Wiechek, we're going to give you the final say-so, okay? You are the ambassador for education at Windmill Point. You guys have a lot of visitors stop by, and every time they come, Ms. Jones brings them by her dynamic Teacher of the Year's class. What's your message?
My message is that education is a collaboration and partnership. It is not just the teachers. It is everybody from high-ups in government all the way down to the support staff at the school. Janitors, lunch staff. It takes literally a village to make a meaningful impact in education, and I think it takes all of us, parents, students, teachers, support staff, and beyond.
Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year. Ms. Wiechek, Mrs. Jones, thank you for giving us a bird's eye view and just a little peek into Windmill Point Elementary, the most wonderful place on earth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello and welcome again to our Teacher of the Year celebration show. We are excited at this time to welcome to our show the wonderful Teacher of the Year from Performance-Based Preparatory Academy, Mr. Michael Clark. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
He's brought along with him my good friend, Dr. Arthur Jameson, the proud, I better say that right, principal over at Performance-Based. Doc, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us. Happy New Year.
Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to speak with both of you to highlight teaching and teachers and the wonderful things that's going on in our district, but also to let our public see some of the dynamic teachers that we have here in the field, because you represent the best of the best right here near and far. With that said, Mr. Clark, would you first introduce yourself briefly to our audience?
Yes, Mike Clark, teach currently at Performance-Based. I was in the Navy for 10 years, 2 aircraft carriers, and I did a stint overseas in Iceland in security, and it was during that time that I completed a master's in education and decided I was going to go that route, and I got out after the halfway point in 10 years. Instead of going to 20, I knew I wanted to be an educator. So when I came back, I stayed with some family members in Florida until I got my certifications, and then started teaching at substitute teaching first, and then my first school that I taught at was Forest Grove.
Okay.
And that was 26 years ago, and then I went to, taught there for almost 10 years, and then went to Sam Gaines, taught there for 6, and then I went to Dale Cassins and taught there almost for 10 years. And so now here I am at Performance-Based.
Awesome. Dr. Jameson, would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Good afternoon once again. Art Jameson, proud principal of Performance-Based. This is my 8th year in administration as a principal. This is my 28th year in the educational field. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Central Florida. Go Knights.
Okay, you had to get that one in. Okay.
Get it in.
It's okay, Dr. Jameson. It's okay. So, Mr. Clark, tell me, what was it like when you first found out that you had been selected Teacher of the Year at Performance-Based?
Well, it was an honor, of course, because there's all the teachers there at Performance-Based are very good.
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay, what inspires you each and every day to do the work that's going on with you?
I enjoy working with students.
So when you enjoy working with those students, do you reflect back on a previous teacher that you might have had and you kind of adapted or adopted some of those ways?
Yes, most definitely. It would be Mr. Wagner, my 7th grade science teacher.
Science is
he
really
was
fun.
Yes, he was a major influence on my life.
Awesome. Yeah. Dr. Jameson, what is it like if we were to take a peek through the window into Mr. Clark's class? What would we see?
You know, it's ironic you asked that question, because it's a little different when you walk into Mr. Clark's class as opposed to some of the other subject areas at our school. You know, for most people who don't know our school, the program is based on computer curriculum. So most of the classes, when you walk in, you'll see students working on their laptops. It's a little different when you walk into Mr. Clark's class. Yes, he has students working on laptops, but Mr. Clark also has small group instruction where he's performing experiments with the students, and you will see that on a daily basis. And that's something that I love, and that's something that I charged him to do, and he's following through miraculously, admirably too. Yeah.
So, Mr. Clark, what was the defining moment when you realized, yeah, this is it. This is where I'm supposed to be?
I would say it was midway through my first year teaching at Forest Grove. Yeah, when I went in, it was I was older than traditional student that graduates and goes into education. I had 10 years military experience. I was in my late 30s, and the first half of the year was sort of getting used to. I had substituted, but it was difficult at first. But after that, I realized that this is what I want to do.
We have seen so many changes in education over the last 20-some odd years. What do you think is one of the greatest challenges facing education, and why?
One of the greatest challenges for sure is supporting parents and guardians of our kids. That's the biggest challenge.
So, Dr. Jameson, 3 adjectives that might define Mr. Clark, and tell me why.
Number 1, skilled. The reason why I say he's skilled is because you don't find too many teachers with Mr. Clark's credentials. He's an anomaly, here in this school district. For us, he teaches math and science, but he's also certified in social studies and English. I mean, you don't find a teacher, at least I've never seen a teacher in my time, that's certified in all 4 core subject areas. Number 2, I would say he's compassionate. He comes from the Title I school base, starting off at Forest Grove and then going off to Dale Cassens, and then now with us at Performance Base. He loves the at-risk kids, and he works with them wholeheartedly. Number 3, I would think dedicated. He's very dedicated to his craft. I know he's always coming asking for supplies and resources and asking for advice and so forth. He loves to challenge the kids, and the kids enjoy his classroom. So those 3, skilled, compassionate, and dedicated.
Mr. Clark, tell me, what would you say at this time has been your proudest professional achievement?
I would say what Dr. Jameson referred to, getting multiple certifications, not just in my area. I noticed when I first started teaching after school that I needed to increase my knowledge in the other subject areas because I'm working with kids after school, and I felt like I just needed to increase my knowledge, so I worked on that to get the certifications, not just in the mathematics at the time I was teaching, but the other core
subjects?
Yes.
So I have been granted the power to give you one wish for education. What might your wish be, and tell us why?
Like I said earlier, that would be anything to support the parents or guardians. A lot of times the kids come to us and their home situation is not the best. So anything that we can support them, that would be the most beneficial in my mind.
Okay, so we've asked you to bring along with you a prop and tell us how and why it's meaningful to you as a teacher. Would you share with us at this time?
Yeah, well, this is a microscope one we use, and this is just a standard basic light microscope, and it's the first time I remember when I used it, Mr. Wagner, as you remember, my influential science teacher in 7th grade, and just sort of fell in love with science at that time. So that symbolizes that. And I have another little, we go on field trips. This is Harbor Branch, which is this one. They go around and have the different displays, and they have to answer questions on it. And it's the hands-on, like Dr. James has said, is really important to the kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, to actually, I know when I was in Mr. Wagner's science class, he did hands-on a lot. And that's where my love for science grew.
Okay. Dr. Jameson, if you had one more chance to wrap up Mr. Clark, share with us what you might say.
You know, I call Mr. Clark the mad scientist. You know, number one, like I said, I haven't been involved with a teacher that has as many certifications as he has. That shows his willingness to expand his educational aptitude. Also, like I said, when you walk into the classroom, you're not going to see students that are just sitting at a computer. They're working on experiments with him. So they're back and forth, you know, as he works within small groups, which is something I love. I think it's needed in this day and age when it comes to education, getting kids to stay engaged. You can start them off, but then they fall off, but he keeps them engaged. And most definitely when it comes to our program, students have a hard time sitting in front of a computer for massive amounts of hours. So being able to, you know, throw a little quirk in their learning and get them engaged and loving the subject area that they're learning, it's a wonder when I walk in this class, and I love to see it.
So, Mr. Clark, I'm going to let you have the final word. You are the ambassador for education at Performance Base. may have many visitors that come by and they want to hear what you think is right, what's good at performance-based, but in education. So what's your message to the public?
Well, working at Performance Space is a small family. So we have a handful of teachers, not a big school like a regular high school or whatever, but it is true family. Like, I've worked at all my schools, and I love all of my colleagues and worked with really good administrators throughout the years. But Performance Space is it's a really close-knit family. I don't know how else to describe it.
Awesome. It's a lot of great things happen when we have a close-knit family, especially in small situations like that with students. Congratulations on your selection as Teacher of the Year. And Dr. Jameson, Mr. Clark, thank you for coming and sharing with us today and letting us highlight you and recognize you and sharing some of the dynamic teachers that you represent in our district.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello again, and welcome to our Teacher of the Year Spotlight Show. Joining us at this time is Mr. Dave Slover, the wonderful Teacher of the Year over at Port St. Lucie High. Mr. Slover, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
He's brought along with him the dynamic, proud principal there, Ms. Nicole Talese. Welcome.
Thanks, Dr. Perry.
It's great to have this opportunity to share with you and talk with you. This show gives us a chance to introduce our teachers to our community to show them that we really do have some of the brightest and best working here. Mr. Slover, with that said, would you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. So again, my name is Dave Slover. I have been teaching, I started teaching in St. Louis County in 1999. I was in college up in New York, at State University of New York, at Cortland. Then we moved down here in 1999. I taught PE at Port St. Lucie Elementary and Village Green Elementary, then moved over to Garden City and began to move up a little bit, and I became an assistant principal for about 5 years at Oak Hammock K through 8, and then Southern Oaks Middle School.
So we're glad to have you at Port St. Lucie High.
Yeah, I'd love it.
Ms.
there.
Talese, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Nicole Talese. I am the proud principal of Port St. Lucie High. This is my 3rd year there. I've been in education 23 years-ish. I'm sorry to forget. Prior to that, I was the principal and the assistant principal at Southport Middle School, and before that, I was a special education teacher.
So once again, to both of you, welcome. Mr. Slover, tell me, what did you make of being told that you were the Teacher of the Year for Port St. Lucie High?
Well, it's an honor because Port St. Lucie High School is a hidden gem. It really is. We're a little bit smaller high school than most of the others. It's a real family environment, and the fact that my colleagues nominated me to represent them, like I said, is an honor. I absolutely love it.
Awesome. So have you always known that you wanted to be an educator?
No. If you had asked me that when I was in high school, I would have said, nope, never going back. Once I graduate, I'm good. And one thing led to another, and well, I ended up being in education. I absolutely love it.
Great, great. So when you think of the work that you do every day with students, do you think that there might have been someone that influenced how you go about your craft?
Absolutely. I had a 12th grade teacher named Mr. Shear. He was amazing. And like I said, I really didn't appreciate academics when I was in high school until Mr. Shear. I met him in 12th grade. He was a creative writing teacher, And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And one day, he had asked me to rewrite a story. I did that, and he shook my hand. And when he shook my hand, he said, you're a really good writer. And I said, oh, thanks. And I went to walk away, and he held on to me. He goes, no, you're a really good writer. And I said, okay, thank you. And I didn't really understand what he was saying. And then a third time, he said, look at me. You're a really good writer. And it was he was looking into me and seeing something, and it flipped a switch for me and really turned me really onto academics the way that I really should have.
So, Mr. Lees, you have an opportunity to visit and watch Mr. Slover every day. I just happened to stop by and say, show me what's happening in your Teacher of the Year's class. What might I see?
Well, so when you walk in, so he's our building construction teacher in our CTE program. So when you walk in, you're going to hear a lot of whirring and buzzing and things. And once you get past that, like the overwhelming nature of the classroom, you can just see kids completely engaged in what they're doing, and sort of at every level. So there's kids who come in there and this is what they want to do with their future, and they have some skill, and so they're working at such a high level. And then you see kids that are just starting to fumble around and learn how to use tools for the first time. So you see kids really being exposed to this trade, this knowledge, this skills at every level, and then getting to use like their own creative nature to make projects and to do things, and they're just excited. It's really nice to walk into a classroom and see every kid excited.
Give me a defining moment, Mr. Slover, when you realized that, yeah, teaching, this is where I belong.
It's really hard to define one. I know within CTE and having the opportunity to become the building construction teacher especially at Port St. Lucie High School, I've had a couple of students call me after they graduated and they've gotten an apprenticeship. They're on to what is going to be an incredible future. They're telling me, I've got a 401k, I'm investing, I have a great future, I've already gotten a couple of raises, this is amazing. And one of them even said to me, and this is like one of those moments, he said, I wanted to thank you for pointing me in the right direction and also helping me to become a better man. So it was like when he said that, I was like, wow, that's, all right, I'm staying here. This is so cool.
So with that said, what do you find most enjoyable about teaching?
I know it sounds kind of cliche, but when you see that aha moment in a kid, when they're looking at something and they figure out that they can do it, they make something with their hands and they see that they can do it, even though they may have never touched a tool before in their lives, but now they're creating. I had a student, a young lady, that we had gone over how to hook up an electrical outlet. She went home that night. She came back the next day all excited. She goes, you're not going to believe this is great. An electrical outlet broke in my house. And I'm like, why is that great? And she goes, well, I told my dad I could fix it, and he was upset because he was sure he was going to have to spend a couple $100. She goes, we went to Home Depot, got an outlet, came back, and I fixed it. He was so excited, he gave me $100. so I mean, the excitement on her face, I was just amazing. So.
Mr. Lees, choose 3 adjectives that will define our friend, Mr. Slover, and share with us why you've chosen those 3.
I would say collaborative, because he's involved in everything, working with every department, literally all the time. Like anywhere we are, then Dave's there helping us. So collaborative, dependable. Anything that we ask of him, he puts his students to work and they're right there doing it. And then beyond that, I would say skillful, because he has knowledge and skill related to everything. It's almost slightly annoying. He's good at everything. Yeah.
So, Mr. Slover, many things have happened over the time that you have been an educator. What do you see as the greatest challenge facing educators today?
I would say retaining really good teachers. It's really difficult to, it's really hard to do, of course, because money is what it is and we have budgets to stick to. But I often hear of teachers that just can't stay because they have to move somewhere else because they can't afford to live, in our area, and it's a great area. And over the years, housing prices have gone up so high they just can't afford it. But keeping and retaining really good teachers is a really tough issue.
So, I have been granted the power to give you like that, one wish for education. Mm-hmm. What's your one wish?
That's a tough one. Like I said, I want to keep good teachers, but I would say granting an understanding from the general public that aren't in schools, granting an understanding of what we do every day and seeing how important that is.
If you had an opportunity to speak to a new teacher that started at Port St. Lucie High with you, what advice would you share with them?
So right now I mentor 2 teachers, and with one of the things that I say to them all the time is make sure you're teaching from the heart. You show the kids your passion and teaching your subject area, and they will fall in with you. Especially in CTE with career technical education, when you can show kids a skill that they can use for a lifetime and they get that, and all of a sudden that light comes on, that's what I tell them. Just you teach from the heart and you'll do well.
So Ms. Talise, what makes Mr. Slover the perfect candidate for this recognition?
I think that he just really epitomizes what an educator should be, the impact that he has on kids, the impact that he has on our school, the relationships that he builds. Like he was just saying, when he says that would be his advice, you can see it in his day-to-day practice. He can relate to every kid, no matter where they're coming from or what their goals are. And I think he is helping them be better humans and better future men and women, not just teaching them a skill or knowledge. And I think that that's ultimately what we want. When kids leave our classrooms, we want them to know that they're loved, and we want them to leave leave better than they came. And he does that.
So Mr. Slover, we ask you to bring along a prop with you that kind of relates to how and why education teaching is important to you. Share with us at this time.
Okay, so my prop is my old fire helmet. I used to be a firefighter up in New York for a volunteer department. And got some ashes in there still. And I always kept this in there. It's this little note in there, it's save the shoes. And I have this on my wall in my classroom. And Save the Shoes, there was a TED Talk with a gentleman that was a volunteer firefighter. And he explained that he went to a fire, his first big fire. And he got there and asked the captain, what's my job? What do you need me to do? And he said, I want you to go in, pass the fire. And he goes, yeah. He goes, and get a pair of shoes for the homeowner. It's raining out, it's cold. And he's like, oh, grab a pair of shoes. Okay. Well, he did. He explained, though, that a couple of weeks later, they got a letter from from the homeowner, and she said, I want to thank you for your professionalism in saving my house and saving the family pet. And someone was even so considerate as to go into that burning building and get me a pair of shoes. And so he said, above all else, they specifically mentioned getting a pair of shoes. And getting a pair, Save the Shoes is just kind of a metaphor for doing the little things every day that you can do. Don't wait till you make your first million. Don't wait till you retire to go do those things and help out. Go in a soup kitchen, do what you can do. But as far as teaching goes, it reminds me that these kids sometimes need just a pat on the back. Hey, how are you doing today? Just make that contact with them. Sometimes a kid comes in and says, I'm really hungry. I didn't have a chance to eat. Here's a pack of crackers. You know, this is what I have. But doing the little things for people, and not just students, the other teachers in your schools. Because we, like I said, we're a family over at PSL, and it's those little things that sometimes someone needs just, hey, can you hang a picture for me? Sure, let me send a student over, or I'll take care of it right after school today. So doing the little things to help people get by every day.
Awesome. Ms. Talise,
Yes.
if you had to give, in this world of social media, give a hashtag for Mr. Slover, what would your hashtag be?
Okay. Hashtag making an impact.
Tell me why.
Because I think he really does that on everyone around him. Like he's just that guy. If it's a colleague that he's helping or lifting up, if it's a student who needs guidance or support or an ear, and he's helping kids with their future. I mean, in what he does, like he mentioned before, helping kids find apprenticeships or linking them up with post-secondary options so that those who are going straight into the trades or the workforce have an opportunity immediately and they're not floundering. And those who are going on to college, they're leaving with a set of skills that are going to benefit them for their whole future. I just think he's literally making a difference in both ways, like curriculum-wise, but also just on every person that he comes in contact with.
So, Mr. Slover, let's wrap it up. You are the ambassador for education at Port St. Lucie High. Many visitors come for their dynamic shows and your programs, your sports teams. They meet the Teacher of the Year. What's your message to the public?
Message to the public, get to know more about us. Get involved, stay involved, come on in and see what we're about. We have so many great resources in our community. And again, I'm a huge advocate for CTE and getting our kids out there in the trades, and they can make a great living. But come on in and get involved, help out if you want to. And it doesn't have to be every week. It can be once a month. It can be twice a year. But come on in and help out and see what we're about and get involved.
Thank you both for joining us, giving us this opportunity to take a sneak peek into the Teacher of the Year's world at Port St. Lucie High School, and congratulations on your selection.
Thank you.
And we're clear.
Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello, and once again, welcome to our Teacher of the Year Spotlight Show. We have joining us today Miss Alicia Hanson, who is the wonderful Teacher of the Year at Samuel S. Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies. Long name. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Dr. Perry.
She has along with her my friend, my colleague, my brother, Keith Davis, the proud principal there. Mr. Davis, welcome.
Good day. How are you?
All is well. Thank you for joining us. It gives us an opportunity to highlight teaching and teachers by introducing the Teachers of the Year to our community, showing them also some of the brightest and the best who represent the brightest and the best. With that said, would you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
I am Alicia Hanson. I teach at the Samuel Gaines Academy of Emerging Technology, as you mentioned before. I'm from Jamaica. That is where I started my teaching career. I started teaching at about age 21. So I was fresh out of college. I taught high school in Jamaica up until the point where I migrated to the US. I did my teacher training there. However, when I migrated, I realized that I'd have to go back to school, get retrained. So I did a bachelor's degree and then a master's in curriculum and instruction so that I could perfect my craft.
Awesome. Mr. Davis, would you introduce yourself?
Yes. Good day. I'm Keith Davis. I am the proud principal of Samuel S. Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies. This is year 7 for us, and we achieved our first A ever. So we're very proud of that, and just a school that continues to rise.
Welcome, both of you. So, Miss Alicia Hanson, they walk into your room and announce, you are the Teacher of the Year. Tell me, how did you feel? What happened there?
I was surprised. My students were all staring at me. I don't necessarily think that I do very well with a lot of, attention. So the students, knowing this, started like, ooh, and what's happening? But I was humbled, but I felt honored in the same breath because I was just really grateful that my colleagues had enough faith in me to nominate me as the Teacher of the Year. So I was excited, but I was also very surprised.
So tell me, what makes you a great teacher?
I believe that I am very interested in my students, not just academically, but just socially, holistically. I'm very interested in my students. Who are they? I know that my students will not have any connections to anything that I'm saying or doing or trying to teach them until I get to know them. So I invest time in, planning my lessons and making sure that I am preparing my lessons the best way I possibly can. But when I'm doing that, I factor in their readiness, I factor in their likes, their dislikes, their cultures. I try to make sure that my classroom is curated specifically for the students that I'm teaching at that point in time. I believe that really any teacher that is honestly worth their salt, has to do that, and it's something that I spend an extensive amount of time doing as well.
So what do you think has been your greatest impact?
I believe that in the years that I've been teaching, my students have come to realize, many of my students, most of my students have come to realize their true potential. I've had students that have said to me, honestly, Mrs. Hanson, I just don't think that I can demonstrate proficiency in language arts. I'm just not good at it. I don't like reading. It's hard. I don't understand what the questions are asking. I'm not sure what's happening. And I've gotten to the point where I've seen students who had never been proficient before get to the point where they were, one, confident enough to challenge themselves to do the best that they possibly could. I remember one student in particular last year, you know, she was consistently a level 2. She was aiming for a level 3. And by the time she did her third PM, she scored a 4 and she just sat there and started crying. And I just completely broke down too. And there are just so many stories like that. So I think my greatest impact has been not just in helping my students to realize their potential academically, but, you know, socially. And we are a Leader in Me school, so we try to make sure that we're instilling the Leader in Me habits in those students as well. And I practice the same thing, and I show them, like, hey, I'm growing with you, and I'm changing with you as well, and I'm trying to be the best leader that I can be as well.
So, Mr. Davis, we're on campus and we visit Mrs. Hanson's class. Share with us what we might see, hear, and or feel.
Okay, so as you enter into the pod, because her team is the 8th grade team, you enter into the pod. As you go through the door, the lights are dimmed, but the students are conversing with one another about the content that's going on. Meanwhile, she's walking around and she's giving feedback about the conversations that are occurring. They're looking at the screen, they're also taking notes, and then they're giving each other feedback. Then they're rotating into different groups and having conversations that are challenging to one another about the content that they are sharing, how to extend it, and how it's meaningful to them as beyond the classroom. So it's really a transformative situation. Meanwhile, you may go in at a different time, same class, maybe 30 minutes later, and in that same class, you're going to see the lights on, they're conversing, they're having more conversation, or she's taking the lead and guiding them on, you know, the next steps and how it's going to extend into their social studies class or their mathematics class, and why it's going to be that way, and even into their STEM resources.
So what makes Mrs. Hanson the perfect candidate for this honor?
Oh my gosh. I can tell you, I've been around and been blessed to be around so many different great teachers, even at Gaines itself, and just my 31 years in this district. But what I'm seeing is, there was a comment once shared with me in the past that when you can put a number on a student's confidence, then you're going to see the competence. And with her, you actually get to see, and yeah, she shared one of the stories, the students as their confidence continue to rise. And, you know, we're fortunate to be able to see it result in test scores, but just that conversation in the hallway. So she's actually been able to have students measure their confidence just through their results. And it's just profound.
So, Ms. Hanson, what do you consider to be the greatest challenge facing education today?
And you know, this is interesting because we do use our testing to measure how well our students are doing as best as we possibly can. But I do believe that one of the challenges that we have right now, you know, is truly the frequent standardized testing. Yes, it's necessary to assess our students, not test, to assess our students. However, sometimes there's this veil of anxiety, I think, with the students, because they're learning and they're interested in what's going on, but in the back of their heads, they're saying, well, you know, there's another test coming up. There's a district assessment, or there's an in-class test, or there's a PM coming up. And this is just my, you know, opinion, but I do believe that there are other ways. There are so many alternative assessments that we can use in place of the standardized test, because some of our students, they excel in class, but when it comes down to testing, it gets a little bit challenging for them.
We ask you to bring along with you a prop and share with us the how and why it's meaningful to you as a teacher. So let's do that now.
So I brought along this globe that I keep on my desk. The students and I sometimes, and we have little dots on there with the different countries that we visited or so, and then I've had students who are extremely interested in traveling. So every single time I look at this globe, I think to myself, I don't know where my students are going to end up. And I know for a fact that I'm with them every day and they're listening to what I'm saying. And I'm instilling values. And if these students end up in different parts of the world, they're going to share these values with the people that they'll meet, the places, the co-workers that they'll have, the companies that they'll work with, the families that they'll start. And it just reminds me of the reach that a teacher truly has. We don't know how far our students will go. We don't know the depth of our influence on these students. And yes, we're sitting in a classroom in Fort Pierce, but the truth is I truly don't know how much of an impact what I'm teaching my students is going to have on the world in general, depending on what their futures look like.
15 years from now, your students will have graduated high school, started their careers. What are they going to look back and say about their time with Mrs. Hanson?
They will look back and say, I had a teacher who always had a listening ear. I had a teacher who wasn't afraid to laugh. I had a teacher who wasn't afraid to allow me to be who I needed to be and to express myself in the way that I needed to when I was learning. The students process information in so many different ways. So if I have to be, maybe I'll need to, I don't know, sing or play or make a joke or something for them to accept the content or to receive the content. They'll look back and know that they had a teacher who met them where they were and created a classroom that they could actually function in, so that they could become competent and confident and productive members of their society.
So, Mr. Davis, we live in a world of social media, and everybody is hashtagging everything. What would your hashtag be for your amazing Teacher of the Year, Mrs. Hanson?
Hashtag greatness. I've seen her scores. Last year, her state scores, she talks about standardized testing, but I saw her move her bottom quartile students, which are the students who've never encountered being proficient before, had a 95% learning gain. You're talking about tons of kids just being moved. I've seen her outpace the state, outpace the district with her scores. The hashtag greatness comes from not only that, but the fact that the students that have gone to other high schools, they've come back. They let them know how they are becoming leaders in their new high schools because of her impact. That's where the hashtag greatness comes from.
So, Alcida Hanson, let's wrap it up. You are the ambassador for education at Samuel Gaines. Public wants to hear your message, your voice. What do you say?
As an ambassador for just education in general, I'd say to my peers, I'd say to the profession that we really are creating our future leaders. So depending on what we want our futures to look like, we want their futures to look like, then that has to, dictate the amount of energy and the amount of dedication that we commit to our students right now. And as far as the public, we have to be, we have to show our kids now how to be movers and shakers in society. We have to mold them. We have to understand the impact that we have on our children or students, because the truth is their success is really dependent on how well we mold them right now.
Awesome, awesome. Mr. Davis, Ms. Hanson, thank you for joining us and for sharing with us the great things that you're doing over at Samuel S. Gaines. Congratulations also on your selection as a Teacher of the Year.
Thank you for having me.
Best wishes to both of you.
Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
We are so excited to be back, having an opportunity to speak to the Teachers of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools. Oh, it's just an exciting time for us. And joining us now is the wonderful Teacher of the Year from Manatee K-8 Academy, Mr. Stephen Farkas. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
He's brought along our very dear friend, Dr. Pat Gascoigne, who's one of the awesome assistant principals there. Dr. Gascoigne, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
It is so exciting for me. I don't know if you know my background, but I was Teacher of the Year for St. Lucie Public Schools back in the dark ages. But this is an exciting time because we get to share with our viewers some of the brightest and the best educators near and far, some of those teachers that represent the teaching field here in St. Lucie Public Schools. So with Mr. Farkas, with that being said, why don't you give us a little bit about your background, where you went to school, what you're teaching now, that kind of thing.
All right, so hi, I'm Stephen Farkas. So I went to St. Bonaventure University up in Olean, New York. I'm born and raised in New York. I spent 21 years of my life up there. I now teach math. I started teaching history at Dan McCarty. And I loved it, 6th grade, and then came over to Manatee, started as a PE coach, ended up transitioning to math, so now I'm teaching 6th grade accelerated math and geometry at Manatee.
Okay, awesome. So what do you make of this honor being selected as the Teacher of the Year for Manatee?
I mean, I can't, it's my colleagues are, the ones that put me here, and I'm very thankful. I work really hard, and they put me in great positions to succeed as well. So, I mean, I'm super honored to be here.
It's great when our colleagues recognize the work that we do and support us also in that work, because this is evident of that as well. So tell me about an influential person in your life. How did they influence you, and what made them so very important?
One of my teachers I'll never forget, I sat down in an interview just like this. I was part of a student panel that was interviewing teachers for a position at my school and growing up in high school. And when the guy came in, we connected, and when he left, I told my principal at the time, I told him, that's the dude, that's the guy we need. His name was Justin Frisbee. And he was my teacher for 3 years in high school. He was my basketball coach. He's who got me into the college I went to. He went there as well. He kind of just pushed me and guided me in the right direction as growing up. He was an amazing teacher, an amazing friend, and I mean, I consider him a friend. I was in his wedding, and him and I he's the reason I'm here. So as a teacher and as a person.
I can understand. For me, it was Miss Madison from 5th grade. I remember, of course, music is a part of my life. She wrote in my brag book, Kevin, don't be sharp with the sharp sign. Don't be flat with the flat sign. Be natural. And then all those years later, I became a music teacher. So I do understand. So what was a defining moment when you realized that you had chosen the right profession?
It was my 2nd year of teaching at Dan McCarty. I had a student that he spent 7 out of 7 periods in my classroom because, the kid was tough, but he loved to be with me, and teachers would tell me all the time, I don't know how you do it. And him and I connected in ways that I can't explain. And he told me one day at the end of the school year, he said, you're the reason that I'm still in school. And he was in 6th grade. You're the reason I'm coming to school every day. You're the reason I'm doing what I can do to stay out of trouble. And connecting with that portion of kids is why I'm not here for the math. I'm here for the kids, and I'm here for that relationship with them.
Well, once we build relationships, it's easy to get to the math.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think we better get Dr. Gascoigne in. Dr. Gascoigne, I know you, many of us know you, but our viewers may not know you, so give us just a little bit brief history about the awesome Dr. Pat Gascoigne.
Well, first of all, I am a 2nd generation educator. And with that said, I knew I was born to do this. So with that, I am also an experienced administrator, and had our elementary background, and now I'm at the most awesome Manatee Academy, getting some middle school experience. I am in tune with bridging the gap between the elementary and the middle school, and going about knowing that it's all a learning process. which I'm enjoying. I'm also a mother of some amazing children, and with that, I'm just excited to know that I too just enjoy what I'm doing.
So tell me this, when you have the opportunity to visit Mr. Farkas's class, what is it that you see? What is it that you hear? How does it make you feel?
Wow, just entering his classroom, it just amazes you because it's all about the students. It's student-led, it is student-engaged. It's just the interaction that he has with his students. You'll see the small grouping. You wouldn't be surprised to see how much he loves to reward the students. And he has a way in which he can be in tune with them, the conversation piece. Now, he has to do challenge in group in which, you know, he has to build in that rigor. He has a single geometry class in which he was tasked with. And with that said, it's a lot of hands-on and mindfulness in which he will be able to bring in different ideas. He's a technology guy. And with that said, you would see nothing but a means of interaction that, you know, he does daily.
So tell me, Dr. Gascoigne, what makes Mr. Farkas the perfect candidate for this honor?
Just his ability to network and just be there for his students and also his colleagues. He is one, when he's tasked with when he's clearly tasked to do something, he is one that goes above and beyond to ensure that things are completed. His classroom is one in which we have others to come in and observe. So with that, I know that Farkas is one who welcomes. He's a professional learner, he's a professional designer, he's a facilitator. He's one in which, you know, that will just reach out to both his colleagues and to the students itself.
Mr. Farkas, up to this time, what do you think has been your greatest impact?
I think it's, honestly, I know we kind of beat it, but it's the building relationships with kids. I mean, I get messages from my first kids I ever taught. I get 10th graders, they message me all the time, like, hey, I need help, or hey, like, can we talk about this? My biggest impact is with my kids, and I hope that that continues to be the impact that I have with everybody that I meet, actually. So,
What do you consider to be the greatest challenge facing educators or education today?
It's tough. I would say probably consistency, trying to maintain consistency across the board as educators, ensuring that students all get the same education, the same experience, and trying to maintain that as they leave your classroom as well. So that way, you know, when I teach a kid, I want them to go to 7th grade with those same expectations that I set for them. So hopefully they can continue to drive forward.
And what gives you the greatest satisfaction dealing with students every day?
My greatest satisfaction. I love when a kid laughs, when we can share a genuine conversation and it goes beyond like a teacher-student connection. It's like we can sit there and we can have a conversation as, like, I don't want to say friends, but sort of, you know, that we can laugh, we can enjoy education together. So we're coming to school every day and it's something we like to do.
Dr. Gascoigne, I need you to think real deep and hard and describe Mr. Farkas for me using 3 adjectives and tell me why those 3.
Oh, when you think about Mr. Farkas, you talk about he's innovative. He is one who's clearly one that is creative. He goes above and beyond in finding a means to have the school be up to date on things that's happening out there. He's not afraid to incorporate new ideas and bring it back to us so that, you know, we can flourish. He's intuitive. I say that because he has a sense of awareness. He has that connection, not necessarily with just the students, but he also has it with his colleagues. He knows when is when. And I would just have to end it with that fact that he's just an incredible human being. He's one who is not selfish. He thinks highly of others around him. And you get that sense when you enter his classroom and see all the many things that he's having going at the same time, in which his kids are happy and they're learning. And he's definitely reducing those learning gaps.
So tell me this, Mr. Farkas. What advice would you give to a new teacher entering the field?
That's what I always say to all new teachers, and it's in most professions you don't get the opportunity to really change a life. There are a lot of ones that do, but a lot of them that don't. And as a teacher, I first started, I wanted to help every single person I met. And my dad told me, he worked with kids growing up, he said, hey, if you change one life today, you've made such a great impact that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to. So even if I'm making that impact with one kid, it was a successful day.
So Dr. Gascoigne described you as innovative, creative, and intuitive. Let's see how really you are. I'm gonna give you a speed round, okay? I'm gonna throw some items out and you give me the answer. Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite restaurant?
Kyle G's.
Okay, okay. Kyle's
It's
awesome place.
amazing,
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie is the Lord of the Rings series.
Favorite sports team?
Dallas Cowboys.
Not one of the Cowboys. Come on,
man,
Miss
I'm
Hope.
annoying, I know. It's tough.
Favorite song?
Favorite song is, I would say Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran.
Okay. So, as an ambassador for education for your school, you're going to be charged with speaking to people all the time. What would be your message?
My message would be education is a foundation of who you become, and that we really want to send our kids to public school. We send our kids to school. We hope they're getting the best experience they can. They're learning, they're building not only, again, that educational background, but also forming them into people.
So we ask you to bring along with you a prop that kind of describes you as a teacher. Share your prop with us at this time.
So it's kind of interesting. I brought, the reason I got into education, I brought my coach's whistle.
Okay.
Athletics was a foundation of who I was. I was a Division I soccer player. I thrived in athletics. And I always asked myself, what am I going to do after I'm done playing sports? And I thought it was going to be coaching. So then it was, as I was maturing and growing up, I was coaching a varsity basketball team at my high school, and trying to work and coach at the same time was really hard because you had practice. You had at 2:30. What job can you get off at 2:30? So then I thought, what job am I going to get that I can coach? And it was, I can teach. So teaching was a secondary thing for me at first. And now coaching's awesome, but really being a teacher is what I love. So this is why I'm a teacher, and I can't be thankful enough for doing that.
Thank you for sharing this time with us. It's been a wonderful privilege and pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Farkas, and you, Dr. Gascoigne. Thank you for the marvelous work that you do at Manatee Academy with those wonderful students each and every day. And congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year for Manatee Academy KA.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Hello, everyone. We're joined at this time in the studio with Mr. Alexander Stewart, who is the Awesome Teacher of the Year over at Allapattah Flats. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Good, good. It's so great to have you today. and to have this opportunity to speak with you about this very inspirational topic. He's brought along with him the wonderful principal there, the proud principal there, Miss Anna Rodriguez. Welcome, Miss Rodriguez.
Thank you for having us.
I said that because this show gives us the prime opportunity to introduce some of our dynamic teachers to our viewers. It gives them a peek into some of the wonderful personnel that we have working with teachers, with students, and it shows them that we have some of the brightest and best that they can find. With that being said, would you briefly introduce yourself to our viewers?
Of course. My name is Alexander Stewart. I've been teaching at Allapattah Flats since 2019. That's the only school I've ever taught at.
Wow. And that was a great year, wasn't it?
It was a great year. Made it through half the year that year.
We know that year very well, don't we? Ms. Rodriguez, introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Ana Rodriguez Oronos. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. Then I came to Florida, where I finished my education degree at Florida Atlantic University. Later, my master's. I taught in St. Lucie for about 8 years, then became an administrator, and I've been an administrator ever since, which is now a total of 26 years with St. Lucie.
Such a short time, such a short time. So, Mr. Stewart, tell me, what do you make of being chosen as the Teacher of the Year for Allapattah Flats?
I think it's an awesome honor to have bestowed upon me for the school. There's so many great teachers at the school. I mean, I don't know if I'm really deserving, because honestly, I wouldn't know anything about teaching if I didn't learn it from there, because I came in with very, very little educational experience as far as actually being an educator. A few hours of, student teaching, couple classes, but nothing really that got me ready for teaching, more like being at the school and learning from the amazing educators there.
Speaking of the amazing educators there, do you think someone there or in your past kind of influences how you go about your craft every day?
So there's actually two people. Someone there, Miss Portillo, Miss Wendy Portillo, has been like my mentor for years.
We know her well.
So I work with her every single day. We meet in our COP every single day, usually twice a day, once in the morning and then once during our designated planning time, and usually a third time after school too. So we spend a lot of time planning and just kind of, I learned a lot about the intricacies of teaching and kind of the subtleties that you just don't really think about from being a student, but you have to actually put a lot of thought into as a teacher. And then also my mom also inspired me a lot to be a teacher and help influence me. Her and my brother both have like severe learning disabilities. So watching them work together through that process really gave me a lot of tools that I bring to the classroom every day.
So what have you found to be most enjoyable about teaching?
The most enjoyable thing about teaching to me is actually learning about the students and learning about where they come from and about them as people, because I think it makes it a lot easier to actually teach them and educate and work with them once you know about them as a person, because when they know that you're bought into them and spending the time to learn about them, they're more receptive to what you're trying to teach as far as curriculum in the classroom.
It kind of goes back to they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care kind of idea.
Well said, yes,
okay.
sir.
Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, you have an opportunity to watch Mr. Stewart every day. Take us into his classroom and let us watch him from your point of view.
So his classroom is a no-nonsense kind of classroom. And I say that because he does exactly what he's saying. He gets to know the students to see how to help them. But he also maintains the high expectations. And that is clear in his message, in his delivery, and the work that the students are doing every day.
Give us 3 adjectives that will describe him and share with us why you've chosen those 3.
So the first one is professionalism. He is so professional in the way he carries himself with students, with colleagues, with families. Again, those expectations, you can tell, are not just for everybody around him. He has them for himself. I would say intelligent and reflective, and I know that's 2 different adjectives, but that's my number 2. He's very smart about how to look at the results of an observation or the student data and then decide where to go. What do I do with this information? Very reflective. And the last one would be, he has a growth mindset. He is constantly learning himself as an educator, and he believes that all students can learn. And I say that last year his civics proficiency was, I believe, was above 90.
93%.
93%. So, and we're talking about students who have some academic deficiencies, you know, low readers who struggle, and he still managed to get them to pass that civics state exam, which is phenomenal.
Professional, reflective, wonderful growth mindset, chosen by your colleagues as Teacher of the Year, got to mean you're most deserving. What do you think makes you a great teacher?
What I believe makes me a great teacher is accepting the feedback, sometimes criticism, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, you know, about the things I'm doing in the classroom, and then reflecting on that, taking it and bringing it into the classroom and changing it and trying to become better each day. I love having observations in my classroom. My first year teaching, we had assistant principal, Ms. Margie Lewis, and the first thing I told her, I said, she came in for an observation like the second week of school, and I said, can we do another one? Because she gave me such great feedback, and I really, really took that advice, changed my lesson plans, made the adjustments, and every time someone comes in my classroom, I get like a new nugget of information that I really feel like can take my teaching to another level, because I never want to roll out the same lesson plan year after year or semester after semester doing the same thing. I love to add new things, grow, develop, and I think no matter how long anyone's been teaching, there's always a chance to gain something new or different piece of insight, or looking at it from a different perspective, or not notice that a student or a group of students were not on target, and then how could I get those students on target, or students like them on target moving forward next time.
So what do you say to students to help them ensure that they will be successful in your class?
I'm huge on organization. So organization, especially I teach middle school, so it is challenging, because I remember myself being in middle school, organization was always a tough spot for me, but keeping notes organized, keeping our thoughts organized really helps us kind of build on our knowledge, and it gives us a foundation to look back at our notes and our process.
Ms. Rodriguez, what makes Mr. Stewart the perfect candidate for this honor?
Mr. Stewart possesses all the qualities that any principal would want in a teacher. He, as he mentioned, his background was not education, but he came in with the best attitude, that growth mindset, to learn how to do it and then continue to grow from there. Taking the feedback, working with colleagues, looking up to veteran teachers, like he mentioned, Ms. Portillo, and trusting the process. You know, when we say, let's work on this, okay, let's work on that. When we ask questions like, okay, why do you think this didn't work? He's honest, transparent about things. And that allows him to continue to grow and be effective. So I think that he is a model teacher. And recently, I got an email asking if district staff could come to observe his classroom because he is so successful.
That's awesome, awesome. So we ask you to bring along with you a prop that kind of describes you as an educator. So share with us your prop.
So the prop that I chose to bring today was last year's football for my flag football team, my school flag football team for the girls. We wound up actually winning the county tournament for the girls flag football. And part of my job as a teacher, I believe, is to care about the students holistically, not just as students, but also as people. So I show up to a lot of the athletic events, basketball, even though I don't coach basketball. I show up to the track meet usually every year, volleyball. And I think letting the students know that you care about them outside of school also makes a huge difference, and also sets the tone for the classroom, not only academically, but also behaviorally. Like, the kids know you care about them, and they want to help you be successful, just as I want to help them be successful.
Let's play a game of favorites. I'll throw something out at you. You give me a quick response, okay?
Okay.
Favorite food?
Favorite sandwich, any type.
Any type. Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant, Little Jim's.
Little Jim's? Never
over by the Little Jim Bridge in North Fort Pierce.
Okay. We got somewhere to go try. All right. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, Greater. It's a movie about Brian Burlsworth. He was a walk-on college football player. Very inspiring.
Favorite sports team?
New England Patriots.
Okay. Favorite song?
Favorite song, Tiny Dancer by Elton John.
What about a favorite quote or motivational saying?
My favorite quote was actually by Frederick Douglass. It's, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress."
Yes, sir. Know it well.
It's a good quote, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great quote. So, Ms. Rodriguez, share with us anything else that you may want us to know about the amazing Mr. Alexander Stewart.
I think Mr. Stewart is going to continue to grow. I think that he is someone who can potentially be more when it comes to education. Somebody who could end up being an administrator, somebody who could end up helping write curriculum, creating programs. I think he has that type of ability and potential.
So, Mr. Stewart, let's wrap it up with you sharing your thoughts and your ideas around this idea of education. You are now the ambassador for education at Allapattah. What's your message to us?
My message for people about education is just never stop growing, never stop the struggle. If you don't have a hard day, if you're having a hard day, you can learn something from it, whether something wasn't right in a lesson plan or maybe you had a conflict with a student. How can you resolve that and how can you be better moving forward? Never stop growing.
Thank you both for joining us on this show, and congratulations on your selection as the Teacher of the Year.
Thank you, sir.
Keep growing.
We are St. Lucie Public Schools. We are accoladed, recognized, accredited, merited. We are innovators, builders, career-driven, future-forward leaders. We are community-focused, partners, mentors, contributors. We are historic, unique, extraordinary, admired. We are champions, energetic, competitive, game changers. We are artists, dancers, designers, musicians. We are diverse, inclusive, collaborative, empowering. We are caregivers, protectors, supportive, attentive. Today's learners, tomorrow's leaders. We are St. Lucie Public Schools.
Wow, what an amazing and inspiring group of educators. The Teacher of the Year Award is a call to service that comes with a responsibility and obligation to elevate students and the profession. This award isn't about being the best teacher, it's about being chosen to represent the best teachers and the honor of being called to represent such an incredible profession. We applaud these teachers who devote their personal lives to enriching the lives of St. Lucie Public Schools and our students. We thank them every day because they make a difference and do that special something that truly matters. Every day, they leave an undeniable mark on the future. Congratulations to all these teachers for their selection as the Teacher of the Year.